This week's bass breakdown is Sly and the Family Stone's 1973 hit, If You Want Me to Stay. That was played by Rustee Lee. I'm probably leaning a little bit more towards Flea's version on the 1985 cover version that the Red Hot Chili Peppers did. This is how it goes. We're in the key of A minor, and I'll get into that later. What I'll do first is just break down that very simple bass line, and then I'm going to show you later how to make this your own and how to connect up the different notes of the chords. It's a very interesting thing to be able to do as a bass player. It's actually quite good practice. The key to this, whether you're listening to either version, is the feel. It's absolutely crucial to get this bouncing thing going. It's at 102 beats per minute. I'll put a drum beat in the link below along with the free PDF for you to practice, but just very slowly for now. We've got 2/8 notes, but the first one is staccato. That's what that dot means. And it just make it as short as you possibly can. So it's like short, long, short, long, short, long. And even maybe a touch more aggression on that first note. That's the key to this whole feel. Let's talk about how to do that. There are two ways really. Now I'm playing the A on the 5th fret of the E string. I often like to play open strings, fretted if I can. Many bass players do like to do this because you can get more control over the note length, like this. Because what I'm doing here, if you can see, I'm plucking and then just lifting off. If you play a note and just press down, it will sustain for as long as you press down for. If you lift up, it stops. Now you get a little harmonic there. So you could use different fingers, the other fingers, to really help mute. But that's one way. You just lift off as quickly as possible and the note will stop. And the other way is just to catch. So if you pluck with your index, you just catch the string with your middle finger directly afterwards. And that's how you would mute it. Now if you're playing open string A, that's sort of the main way to do it. You could mute a little bit, but I don't think there's any real need to. Now for me, I'm probably using a little combination of both of those techniques really. You'll probably find a way that sits well with you, so experiment with that. So we got this. Let's just head to there. So if you're playing it the way I'm notating it and tabbing it here, you're going 5th fret, then passing through a G sharp to the G. I like it fretted because it's all there, you know, on the 3rd and the 5th frets. If you don't, it'd be like this. And there are lots of variations what Flea and Rustee Lee do, but at the beginning it goes like this. So we're going to an F via an E, so 2nd to 3rd frets of the D string. Constantly doing that short, long thing. And there's this signature lick that goes on here. And again, it really doesn't matter where you play this. So I'm going 5th fret of the D string, that's G. 7th fret A, that's the note E. And you've got this chromatic movement from the B, then A sharp, that's frets 9, 8, then you're hitting 7, that's the beginning again. Actually, Flea then does this. So the whole thing slowly. If you wanted to do that bit differently, you could go open string G. 2nd fret of the D string, that's the E. you've got the B on the 4th fret, A sharp on the 3rd fret, and E on the 2nd fret, all on the G string. Up to you what you do. I just think the tone is more consistent if you fret notes, but like I say, it's totally up to you. The Sly version, I think there are a couple of versions, and I think that they recorded it in a key and then sped it up a bit, so it's a bit odd to play. You have to tune your bass down to play. It's sort of like between B and B flat minor. I think the Chili Peppers version is a little easier to play along to if you wanted to. That's in A minor. Let's talk about the theory a little bit, only because I want to use that as an exercise for you to play your own thing around this. There's so many opportunities. If you're playing this live, you would stick to the simple bass line, but it's so nice to put your own things in. So how do we do that? We're in the key of A minor. This is the Chili Peppers version. So we've got A minor chord. And it's always a good idea to know the arpeggio or chord tones, the notes that you have under each chord. So there's an A minor, and that's an A minor 7 arpeggio, which is more or less just the minor pentatonic scale. So just learn that shape and know that that works over any minor chord. Then we've got a G major chord. So you've got, major pentatonic or a G major arpeggio. That's a very standard thing there, just an arpeggio, the 1st, 3rd, 5th, and octave. And then on C, it's the same, it's a major, okay? F major. Now this E is a bit bizarre. I spent so long thinking about this and trying to work this out. If we're in the key of A, E is the 5. Now in a minor key, the 5 chord is minor, okay? That's what the 5 chord is. But it's often made into a dominant, okay? This sort of matters for us in terms of what notes we want to play. But if you listen to the bass line, you listen to the horn line, there's really not much in the way of piano or guitar chords going on underneath. It's more the bass line is central, and then there's sort of horn lines going on. So I think it might be an E minor thing at the end. Anyway, knowing all of that, the overall key, and the chord tones you can play over each chord, you can do stuff like this. You can improvise. Let's talk about a few of those things. So up to this point, just make sure that you learn the bass line as tabbed. Listen to the originals, whichever one you want. Make sure you're in the right key if you go to the Sly one. I think it's just a semitone or 1 fret higher than what I'm teaching you now. I think it's B flat, but it's got that weird tuning thing going on. So learn the bass line just normally, and then if you want to do your own thing, you can do this. There's lots of this kind of thing. The chromatic scale is it's just playing every single fret, okay? And bass players use that a lot. To get from one chord to another, you can use chromaticism to do that. And really for us, you just don't have to think anything more than whatever note you're going to, just go fret by fret till you get to it. You can go down or go up to it or down to it. So really that's just a trick really, just whatever your target note is on the beat, just go 2 frets higher or 2 frets lower and that will usually do the trick. So here, I'm going frets 5, 4, 3, D, C sharp, C, when I'm about to hit the C. Again, G, F sharp, F, when I'm about to hit the F chord. Now, what's that? This is the A minor chord. Remember I said that's the A minor pentatonic scale that fits. That's all that was. Now, if you listen to both Rustee Lee and Flea, they're not doing any fills really. And when I do these breakdowns, I tend to suggest to stick to the bass lines when you're playing along, and you should. But this is just too good an opportunity to show you this stuff, and it's fun to practice, and just make sure you don't overplay too much when you're playing this live. So I'm just using notes from that collection of notes, the minor pentatonic, and doing stuff like hammer-ons. So this is fret 5 to 7 on both the A and the D strings. I like that kind of thing. Slide and play a short note. All these kind of funk techniques. Flea does a lot of octave stuff, especially coming back into the beginning. I'll play it, I'll show you. Like this. That kind of thing. So chromatic again, moving into the A. So fret 7 to 6, the B, A sharp, A, with octaves. This time it's doing a long, short. Even that, it requires a lot of technical control. I'll just zero in on that. I know I'm flying around a bit here, but when you're making up fills and when you're improvising, you are making stuff up. So I'm making stuff up and just trying to stop and tell you what I'm doing so you can get some of the thought process, learn the things you need to learn, and do this yourself. So I'm on the 7th fret of the E string, that's B. And we've got that 2 across, 2 down octave pattern. I'm going first finger, little finger. You can use third if you want. I've got index, middle fingers. So all the fingers are already where they need to be. And I'm already also muting the A and the G strings, so everything's going to be clean here. That thing again, when I want the note to stop, I lift up. And that's all it is. You can use ghost notes. See? So make sure that you understand that all of these notes within the bass line belong to a key. There's the A, there's the G, there's the C, there's the F. Really common movements in chord progressions. Then we've got the E. So you can just practice that, just root notes. I like to visualize things so I know where I'm going. And then you can just fill in the gaps with these chromatic notes. And that's just pentatonic stuff. There are lots of different things you can do. And really it just is that bass line the whole way through. I think each one has a sort of intro. It just sort of meanders its way into the song, really. So if you want to learn that, just have a listen, figure it out yourself. But that really is the bass line. It's just a brilliant one. I remember being on a gig years and years and years ago and hearing a bass player sound check on that, and I didn't know what it was. And then I learned it, and it was just like, wow, that's cool bass line. I love that. Good one to have in your pocket, that one. If you have any other suggestions for other bass lines for me to have a look at in this series, do let me know. I'll put a playlist right here of some other great bass songs that you can learn after this one. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.